I guess for me, I mean, I really associate that playing with Jimi Hendrix, but and that's where I learned it from. When I was a little kid and I heard Little Wing, I remember going to some like in Florida at the summer. I went to some Indian get-together picnic. They had like an Indian band. It was on an Indian reservation, and the band there played Little Wing, and I remember I'd thought about it a lot, and I decided that nobody could possibly know how to play Little Wing. Like I felt like that it's in the category of impossible to play. And I saw this guy play it, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. Like this guitar player up there was playing it, and I really felt like he was doing the impossible. So that kind of playing, it took me a while because it exists on so many levels. You've got the chord being played, and then you've got a sort of a lead part going on top of it, and then you also get on top of the lead part these extra strings that are being barred that are on the high strings. It ends up sounding, to the ear of somebody who doesn't know how to play guitar, or somebody who's at a beginning stages, it really sounds like it's like three guitars at once. And that was why Little Wing really had me confused, because I thought, how could that be one guitar? It sounds like three guitars, But I guess that where Jimmy was getting that style from was Curtis Mayfield. It was from what I understand, the originator of that style of rhythm guitar playing. And so, his work in the Impressions and all his great solo records and everything, it was real innovative stuff, and I know it was a big influence on Jimi Hendrix's playing. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think using my thumb definitely has a lot to do with the way it sounds when I do it, because it gives my fingers a lot more freedom. For me, like, I could never play this chord that way. It would be too limiting for me. There's only so much you can do from there, and when your thumb's taking care of that, you have a lot of freedom here, and so that. For me, that's a big part of playing in that style, like especially on Danny California, where that thumb is reaching those notes, it's like it just couldn't be done if you tried to do it this way, And so that's a big part of it. But as far as hitting it, I guess it just comes from years of doing it. It's not something that I've ever really thought about that much. I know the ability to block the strings that you don't want to be using with this hand rather than not picking them. I tend to pick all the strings, and if I don't want a certain note to ring through, I'll lift my finger up on it without lifting up all the way. And that's just something that it's second nature to me now, but I guess to somebody who's in their first couple of years of playing, it's really a good thing to start thinking about is getting in the habit of picking all the strings. That way you can get really the real rhythmic kind of attack, and then with this hand, if you want to play the note that you would normally be just picking by itself, you basically block every other string from making a sound if you just want one string to sound through, and you just get in the habit of muting the strings that you don't want to hear rather than not playing them. That's like just barely pressing down on the strings, to get the real percussive, funky sound. That was the original idea with the James Brown stuff, I guess, was to make the guitar more like a percussion instrument rather than like a guitar. So it's basically just not holding, just barely pressing down, kind of making it so it just makes more of a percussive noise, so you just don't press down all the way. For me, that kind of playing has everything to do with just making sure that your right hand can just be really precise with stuff like that and just be really deep in the groove. It's like, it's kind of like the idea of when you subtract all that space that can go in between two things, like if you were to just play it like this, as opposed, it just creates this dimension to it, because then you've got a high thing and a low thing, and it's basically like two things rather than just playing a chord, which